A healed scar lifts off the host's surface. It does not reopen. It does not bleed. It rises. The black line had been flat a moment before, sealed into the pale outer tissue of a non-human host resting under surgical side light. Then one end tightens, arches upward, and becomes a narrow bridge. The scar pulls itself away from the body that made it, stretching into the air like a piece of living thread. Across the glass ward, another scar answers. It rises from a second host. The two black bridges reach toward each other through the pale light, trembling above the bodies that tried to heal them. When they touch, the connection holds. A thin angular limb forms between two living surfaces. The parasite has made its first bone. At first, there is no creature to see, only black nodes on host skin. Tiny pressure cuts, quiet healing, a line that should have closed cleanly. A raised scar that should have stayed part of one body, but this parasite cannot form a body alone. It needs recovery, it needs the host's repair response. It is born from wounds that try to heal. The glass wall beside the ward fogs with condensation. In the reflection, the shape becomes clearer than it is in the room. The hosts are still separate. Their bodies remain alive, restrained by soft biological supports, not pierced by machinery, not drained by tubes. The parasite has not entered them. It has not taken blood. It has not fed on organs. It is using their healing tissue as structure. A third node tightens. The host's surface had healed around a tiny pressure cut, forming a dark ridge. Now that ridge lifts, bends and reaches upward. Another scar bridge forms. The new line joins the first two, and the invisible parasite gains a second angle. In the glass reflection, a thin geometric outline appears above the hosts. Not a full body, not yet, just a partial lattice. The surgical side light catches the raised scars and makes them shine like wet black wire. Each bridge remains attached to living tissue at both ends. Each host becomes a support point. The parasite hovers only because the healing wounds are holding it up. One host moves. The scar bridge stretches. The entire lattice tightens in response, pulling the surrounding scar nodes upward. The host's tissue tries to flatten the wound again, tries to smooth the repair, tries to finish healing. The parasite resists by tension. It needs the scar to remain raised. It needs imperfect recovery. That is the species rule. If the scar lattice stays connected, the parasite exists. If one host heals too cleanly, part of the parasite loses structure. Another scar begins to close. The black ridge fades toward the host's surface. The bridge attached to it sags. In the reflection, one angular limb of the parasite bends out of shape. The ward glass shows it first. A triangular shoulder collapsing, a thread, body twisting, an invisible weight losing form. The parasite reacts. Tiny black nodes darken along the other hosts. New pressure cuts appear as shallow marks, too small to look dangerous. The host tissue begins repairing them almost immediately. That repair is the trap. The moment the scars form, the parasite pulls them upward. Recovery becomes material, healing becomes architecture. A new bridge snaps into place. The collapsing limb reconnects to a different scar, and the parasite's outline steadies. It is now visible without the reflection, a thin angular body suspended slightly above the host surfaces, all corners, tension, and raised black scar tissue. No mouth, no eyes, no stomach, no true skin of its own, only healed damage arranged into a body. The glass panels fog again. Condensation crawls down in slow vertical lines, warping the parasite's reflection. In the distortion, the lattice looks larger, more complete, almost insect-like for a moment, but it is not an insect. It has no legs of its own. Its limbs are scars, its joints are healed wounds pulled into corners. Its skeleton belongs to other bodies. The hosts continue trying to recover. Their surfaces thicken around the attachment points. Smooth tissue grows under the black bridges. Some scars stiffen, others soften. The parasite shifts pressure from one bridge to another, preserving its outline by preventing any one host from healing too cleanly. A quiet pressure alarm flashes behind the condensation. The parasite tightens. The black lattice lowers closer to the hosts, then rises again as several bridges pull at once. The motion is not walking, it is assembly. Each movement is the result of scar tension redistributed across living repair tissue. One bridge breaks. Not with a snap of bone, but with the soft release of a healed line finally flattening. The host wins that small part of its body back. The raised scar melts into a smooth patch. The parasite's right side collapses. A long angular limb folds inward and hangs loose above the ward's surface. For the first time, the creature loses shape. Its body is not dead, because it was never whole. It is disconnected. The remaining bridges tremble, nodes darken. A new pressure cut appears on a third host, then another on the lower surface of a fourth. The wounds are small, precise and quiet. The host bodies begin to seal them. The parasite waits. It cannot use the cuts. It can only use the healing. Fresh scars rise. One by one black ridges lift off the living surfaces. They reach toward the broken limb. A new bridge catches the hanging structure. Another forms below it, making a narrow triangular brace. The parasite rebuilds itself from the repair response it provoked. The ward reflection now shows a full lattice body, thin, angular, hovering. It spans multiple hosts without belonging to any of them. The body is outside the bodies, yet made from what their bodies produce to close damage. The parasite's horror is not invasion, it is dependency. It can only become visible when living tissue tries to fix itself. One host begins a stronger healing response. The scar at its shoulder surface lightens. Its attachment point lowers. The bridge connected to it tightens so hard that the tissue around it puckers upward. The parasite tries to keep the scar raised, but the host's repair continues, smoothing from underneath. The lattice deforms again. A narrow head-like point appears, then collapses. A long body line turns into an uneven hook. The parasite is not choosing a shape in the way an animal chooses posture. It is negotiating with healing. Every clean repair takes part of it away. The glass condensation reveals the strain. Then, the fogged panel, the parasite's reflection splits into two versions, the body it is trying to hold, and the broken outline the hosts are forcing it to become. Surgical light moves across the black bridges. Some shine. Some dull. Some begin to sink. Then the parasite pulls all remaining scars inward. The hosts shift under the tension. Raised bridges tighten into a harsh geometric cage above them. The parasite becomes clearest at the moment it is most unstable. Its thin body hovers fully formed, held by wound after wound. A skeleton made from recovery. The healed surfaces fight back. One scar flattens. Then another. The lattice shudders. A lower brace releases. A side limb folds. The parasite's outline falls toward the hosts, losing height, losing symmetry, losing the body it stole from their repair. Only a few black bridges remain connected. The ward grows quiet, condensation thickens on the glass, and the remaining reflection shows a broken angular shape hanging above the hosts like a damaged diagram. The parasite has not been killed by attack. It has been weakened by clean healing, but one scar refuses to flatten. A final black bridge rises from the first host, still attached, still tense, still alive with parasite pressure. It connects to one remaining node across the ward. The broken lattice lifts slightly, not enough to become whole again, enough to remain. The parasite survives as a fragment, The final image holds on the glass reflection, several non-human host bodies under pale surgical side light, their surfaces almost healed, condensation, blurring the panels, and above them a thin black scar, body hovering from the last connected wounds. The monster has no flesh of its own. It is the shape healing becomes when something learns how to use it.